Hi everybody, welcome back to another Crafting with me, Avivah, your art director from the Ed Asner Family Center. Today we're doing something very fun. If you joined us last summer, 2019, for our Camp Ed summer camp, you are very familiar and probably a pro by now with this. We are going to be doing tie-dyeing, but super natural tie-dyeing, okay? Tie-dyeing that only requires things that you should usually have in your house, like most of our crafts usually will be kind of based around. But we are going to be dyeing with turmeric today. We're going to be we could be dyeing with a lot of other things. There's so many other different types of fruits and veggies that you can dye with. Today we are going with, I think, the easiest thing, to naturally dye with, because turmeric is already in powder form. There's other types of natural dyes that you can use with fruits. You can use like red cabbage for purple, beets, you can make pink. Let me think. Spinach is lovely green. There's even ways that you can use black beans and make a cool blue. But those are kind of a little bit more time consuming because then you have to fill up a big, why can't I think of the word? A pot. A pot that you can put on the stove and fill it with vegetables, hot water, salt, and you'd really have to wait like an hour and let that really simmer down and let all of those colors come out of those fruits and veggies. But today we're doing a quick little DIY project that requires no hot water, just turmeric, water, t-shirt, a bag to put your shirt in, or a Ziploc baggie, that's fine, rubber bands, and paper towels should be on deck just in case a spill does happen. So, getting started with our turmeric dye, make sure your sleeves are rolled up, make sure you are not wearing clothes that you care about because turmeric dyes everything. I say go outside, enjoy some fresh air for this project because you are on a white countertop, white floor, white table. Honestly, any light colored anything will get stained with turmeric. But let's jump into it. Okay, so I have this white shirt here. I'm going to be tie-dyeing this shirt today for my brother Edwin. He loves the color yellow. So we are going to be moving all of our things out of the way. And I'm going to be taking my shirt out and flattening it out. I suggest getting your shirt a little bit damp before this. It helps it kind of soak in that color a little bit more. I'm going with a dry shirt today because I have actually already dyed my t-shirt. This is just going to be a little example to show you how to do that swirly kind of design that you see on a lot of tie-dye shirts, and it's a super easy process. So if your shirt is new, it should probably have like a little fold in the middle here, and if not, it's an older shirt, maybe it's a little stained, you're trying to give it a little bit more pizzazz. You're going to find the middle here on a new shirt where that line is. Find the middle of that shirt and you're going to be pinching and twisting. And you'll see as I twist, I'm going to be folding my, I'm going to be kind of bringing my folds around. You'll see. Okay. So I'm taking my middle, I am pinching here, and I am twisting. And I'm going to be making kind of like a fan here. If you've ever made a fan at school, it's going to be kind of folding around the side. So I'm going to be making sure that my fan, my swirl is kind of staying together, these folds. So as I'm twisting, I'm bringing the shirt around, moving my hand back around, and I'm going to start moving my shirt around. Might be a little helpful to have a buddy for this because if it's getting a little tricky, this is because you want to make sure that you're twisting and keeping it tight and folding those sides in. So see how I'm making kind of like a fan effect with the rest of these folds, bringing it around. And I'm actually going to be stopping here because even though I have fabric here on the sides, I'm going to be using my helper rubber bands now squeezing those edges together, and I'm going to be taking my rubber band and just wrapping it around there. Imagine like it's like a piece of nice meat. Okay, so we have that there, and see, my fans are kind of starting to fall apart, so I'm going to be once again kind of folding those in, and now going the other direction, I'm going to be squeezing once again, taking another rubber band. You're going to need about like 5 rubber bands for this. The more rubber bands, the sturdier it'll be, it'll be, and the more that you will get those white spots in the middle where the swirl will be. Kind of keeps it tighter. So on these excess pieces of fabric that are coming out, I'm just wrapping it, kind of making like a star with these rubber bands. So if you have a longer rubber band, you're going to be folding those in half, making it a little bit tighter like that, and doing the same thing with these last few pieces, okay? Wrapping it around. And don't feel like your folds have to be perfect, you know? It'll be beautiful no matter what. And so what I'm going to be doing on the back here, you see my star isn't quite perfect. I'm going to be moving my rubber bands around to make sure that it kind of looks like a perfect pizza. Taking my excess pieces of fabric and just tucking them into the closest rubber band. All right, so your t-shirt should look something like this, making sure that both sides, all these little excess fabric pieces are really tucked in there tight. Alrighty, so I used about 5 rubber bands for this, but that part's really up to you. You just want to make sure that your folds are kind of just really wrapped up in there. It looks like a nice cinnamon roll. So I'm going to actually put this to the side now, because what you should be doing is I have already made my concoction of turmeric and water. So when pouring all these ingredients in, you want to keep in mind how many materials am I using. So when I made my example, I put some socks in there that were like a little bit old, that I wanted to add some new, wanted to like give them some new life, you know? I want some yellow socks. So make sure you have put enough water in your container that has enough space for all the clothes you're going to be putting in. So you're going to do 2 parts water, 1 part turmeric, okay? So double the amount of water that you put in for turmeric. It's really not, all these projects are not super accurate, because it doesn't really matter. Don't feel like you have to be super accurate with what you're doing, okay? So what I'm going to be doing is just putting my t-shirt in there, letting it soak, and you are going to be leaving that in there for about an hour, okay? The longer you leave it in the water, the more pigmented your color will be, the more yellow your shirt will be. So I'm just gonna let that sit in there, and it should start to sink once it's pretty saturated, okay? So I'm gonna move that to the side, because now that my shirt is already done, as you can see, I have used a small trash bag to keep my shirts in. And these shirts have been sitting in this bag for a while now. If you really want to make that color stay, I suggest putting it in the bag and just putting it outside and leaving it there overnight, because keeping it inside a closed space really holds all that color in. Just makes it really saturated. So now I'm going to be opening my bag. I'm so excited, and I'm going to see how my clothes turned out, okay? So I'm going to take out my socks first. Oh my gosh, so pretty. See, they're a little bit more yellow in some spots, but I don't really mind. It gives it kind of like a cool tie-dye effect too. So they look kind of, these were very old socks. This was really just testers for socks. If I wanted them to actually look very cute, I probably would have used socks that wouldn't have the little markings here. But as long as the tops look good, that's really the only part that you see when you're using your dye. I mean, when you're when you wear your socks, you only see the top part. So I'm gonna move those out of the way. And now I'm going to be taking out my shirt. So when you take your shirt out, you're gonna make sure that your space is clear, move your bag out of the way, and you're gonna just be taking off your rubber bands one by one. Okay, ooh, I'm already starting to see some of the tie-dye. Okay, oh, I'm so excited. Okay, so I'm going to be now unraveling my shirt and seeing the final result. Ooh, cool. Wow. I love it. So cool. Eddie is going to love this. Oh my goodness. Okay, so now that I have it open, I'm just so excited. It turned out so much better than I thought it was going to be. So I really didn't leave it in the water for that long, so that's why it's a little bit more white than yellow. If you really want a more yellow, heavy kind of tie-dye, then I suggest leaving it in the water for longer. But I'm so happy with the way that this turned out. So I'm noticing also that there's still some turmeric on the shirt, but I suggest maybe taking your shirt and putting it out in the sun, letting it be super, super dry, giving it a good hose off, and then usually these little sandy bits of turmeric should get off. But definitely make sure that you rinse out your clothing before you put it in the washing machine. When you do wash it for the first time, make sure that there's nothing else in that load unless you want those other clothes to get yellow too, which I don't suggest. Just dye them yourself. But this was super fun, and it's a super quick project. If you're at home, the weather outside has been so great. It's just a nice time to really get outside and get a little messy, you know? So I do suggest looking up online some other cool vegetables or fruits that you can use and just have fun with it, you know? I really, really love tie-dyeing. It's always such a nice surprise at the end to see how your shirt looks. So send me photos of you in your naturally dyed t-shirts, okay? I'm not going to put this on my body or I'm going to get all yellow, but thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you come and join us back next Wednesday. If you have any ideas for crafts that maybe you would like to do or see me do and help other people maybe try later on, let me know, and I'd love to try it out. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next week. Goodbye!